Okay.
Love that. We talked about basketball identity. We talked about guys. We talked about like everything that you went through with health and wow.
I like to say you can't pour from an empty cup. But if your cup is full, you know, if your cup is full, and you just so happen to meet, you know, the man that you're supposed to be with, and you guys just start pouring into each other.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Oh yeah, you don't even know what's gonna happen, like you said.
Right now, I'm still waiting for that man to pour into me. Hello, but
where he at?
Yes, it's okay. We still gonna pray about it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not tripping. I'm so excited to have Bria Goss on my channel today because I've actually looked up to you ever since I was young. Of course, from a basketball standpoint, if y'all know Bria, you know that like she's a hooper, she's from Indy, got into basketball, all that good stuff. And so like I grew up just watching Bria play, and I was like, she's really good. More than anything, she's like a woman of character. And that's really what I think sets you apart. Yeah. And that is the reason why I wanted you to come on my channel today. Just because I feel like she has so much experience, so much good stuff to say. But yeah, a little bit of background on Bria.
Guys, like she said, I'm Bria. You're up right here on the west side of Indianapolis. Good old BD. From then on, I went to play 4 years at the University of Kentucky. Go Cats. Then from there, I actually went on to play in Finland for 2 years, Israel for 2 years. I was in Slovakia last year, and I actually just signed a contract to go to Romania. So, where I'm at right now is somewhere that I didn't even think I was going to be. So it's a blessing that I'm here. So thanks for having me.
Of course. You have so many good things to share. So me and Bria actually met for coffee not too long ago, and we were just talking, and that's when I originally was like, oh my gosh, like this conversation is so cool, like I need to have you on my channel. Absolutely. And a little bit of things that we talked about was when, like, I guess recently, you kind of had like some health stuff go on.
Absolutely. And
I was actually, that's what I was kind of like curious just to know, because it was a big deal
back in 2016. I was playing overseas, playing in Finland, and that was my first year, you know, being away from home and things like that. And actually, they found a tumor in my uterus.
That's so crazy.
It was a fibroid, and they sent me home for, you know, normal procedure. Got some biopsies and things like that. And at that time, you know, they said it was benign. So they went with regular procedure to shrink it and things like that. Actually got to play overseas again before they even.
So you're playing literally with it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And it was interesting. So after that, in 2017 is actually when I had my first surgery, and it went well, and you know they stitched me up and they sent it to the lab just for normal, regular procedure things, and the doctor actually called me a week later and said that I was actually cancerous, and because of that, then that changed, you know, pretty much everything. He said that it was going to be coming back, and it's going to probably be about 80% more aggressive. So the best plan was to basically just go ahead and get full hysterectomy, which when you hear, you know, cancer and hysterectomy at the age of 24, you know, so many different emotions are running through your mind. You're mad, you're upset, you're broken, you're emotional. Like, it's just...
I can't imagine. Like, I really can't.
It was awful. After the surgery, I had the surgery actually, it'll be 3 years, August 9th. And that was such an emotional day. I was trying to be, you know, strong for my mom, because, you know, just trying to let her know that I'm fine. But really, deep down, I wanted to do nothing but cry. So after surgery, you know, it was fine, you know, successful. And honestly, when I really look back at it, people can't just take out their brain, or can't take out their lung, or can't take out, you know, whatever it is that they might have been affected by cancer. So for them to really just go in there, get out my uterus and call it a day, you know, I tried to find comfort in that. I also was really, struggling as far as like I'm not able to have my own kids. Thankfully, I did preserve some eggs.
Yeah.
Which again, that gives me comfort. But again, when you're young, you're thinking, okay, now all of a sudden you can't have kids. Is he gonna love you the same? Is he gonna still see the value in you? So all those emotions were going through my head. So what I did, which wasn't the best thing to do, I just acted as it never happened. About a week after, I was like, no, I can't, continue to be sad. I want to completely push it in the very back of my mind as if it never happened, instead of like dealing with it head on. So because of that, I actually struggled with some self-worth, some low self-esteem, some insecurity problems. And I just had to, about 6 months after that is when I actually felt like, okay, clearly we're still dealing with this, and we need to deal with it now.
Yeah.
So, I just began, that's actually when my journey began to recover. And if it wasn't the love of God, I don't even know, what would have happened if I would have turned to drugs or away from basketball or whatever the case may be. Because of how I was feeling at that point, it was so bad that without His love, I wouldn't have made it. I would not have made it. I just I had that mustard seed faith that a lot of people talk about, and day by day, just began to pray, began to study the Bible, began to just...
And I'm sure you didn't feel like it.
Oh, God, no. After I actually finally talked about it with the fever last year, is when, at that point, it was when I could finally actually talk about it out loud. I still felt like I could not talk about it. It was one conversation, burner. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
You can't, kids.
And do you think, like, the more you've talked about it, the more free you're becoming?
100%. Not only it's helping me, I'm so emotional about it, and I knew that we were going to talk about it today, so I kind of already had an episode upstairs. It's okay. I'd rather, do that and kind of feel those feelings, so that when I come and talk, I'm able to be as confident as...
And you are. Like, I've never, like... You are so confident when you talk about it, and it's just like, that's God. Like, I think about that, and I see so much God in you. And if y'all don't know Bria, I just have to, like, and she talked about before kind of not dealing with it, because, and I kind of am this way too, so I really understand. Like, I'm the type, I want to be strong for everybody. But, like, I'm so much like Bria in the sense that, like, I'm always a positive person. Like, I don't want to let anyone down. I want to build everybody up. I want to be the person that people can go to, but I'm not quick to go to other people if I have like issues, problems, anything, because first of all, I don't want to be a burden, but also it's like I don't want like if I feel like the thing I'm going through isn't big enough,
right? Same.
Which that's not anything in your case. Obviously, what you're going through is huge. But it was like if I feel like it's something just on my mind, but I feel like it's so insignificant compared to other people, it's hard to like for me to go, and like so naturally like. It makes sense for you too, because you're always the positive person. Like you want to be positive for your mom because your mom's probably a wreck. Like everyone's worried about you, but like I'm gonna be the one to hold it together because this is who I'm known as. And it's so crazy because the thing that stuck out to me the most when, so like if I was originally committed to Kentucky, so I went to Kentucky's practices and all that kind of stuff. Like I was committed for a while, so I was like very familiar with the team, with the system, and I already knew Bria like before that. But I remember I wanted to be a player like Bria because I would go to practice. And I would kind of see myself in you a little bit in the sense that, like, she's a leader, she's encouraging, she's always, like, quick to build other people up. And it's like, if one of her teammates was running a sprint by themselves, like, Bria would be the one to run with them. And, like, always, I just, like, noticed all these little things where I'm like, Bria is, like, it's almost like the anchor of the team, like, the leader, the person that people can count on. And then for you to have something that it's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm weak. Or like I'm sick, or and like how devastating that must have been because you're like, man, like I don't want to have to need people. I'm the person that needs to be positive no matter what. Like I'm sure all these things are like going through your head
all the time.
And so you decided like later, you're like, I really need to deal with this.
Yes.
And you talked about like getting into your word and just like spending time with God. Like what else? Like how? Like talk about a little bit of like how you were able to overcome like a little bit. And I know it's a process, obviously. I can't even even imagine, so I'm not even gonna act like I do. But like I'm just so interested in like how you were able to hold on to God despite your circumstances.
I think well one, my family's very religious and things like that. So I never really was not religious, but I've always went to church because mom and dad went to church. I always did read the Bible because mom and dad read the Bible, but this was my own personal journey. My parents didn't go through what I went through, and none of my friends did, so I couldn't even talk to them about it. It was because, like you said, that whole, you know, Bria has this persona about who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always happy, always optimistic. I can't let them see that I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
And that affected me as well. Of course, friends saw right through it.
Yeah.
Sisters saw right through it. But I still didn't feel comfortable enough to even go to my closest people in my circle. So the only only thing I could do was turn to my faith. God already knew the plan. He already knew I was going to be able to. It's like that was his way of me just giving myself to him, just completely leaning on him because nobody else could.
Dang,
so
that's so good.
It sucks that it took something like that to really, you know, get me into with my faith like I am now.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I always have been, just not like I was. But now I'm able to shine my own light because I have my own path.
That's so good.
When he's the only one, and he deserves my all. You know, so that's
so good.
That's really what kept me going. He was the only one, and he's an awesome God. So at the end of the day, nothing is bigger than him. I had to practice that though. I couldn't just say it. I needed to live it. I needed to do it. I needed to walk in it.
And how hard was that?
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm progressing. I'm not perfect.
No,
you
nobody
know,
is.
I'm
definitely not.
You know?
Yeah, I feel it.
It's still really, really hard. And just because of just old habits or just things that you're used to and things like that. Just want to be able to get through what I'm getting through, and it's a day by day. You wake up every day, you make a choice. Yeah. And that's my choice. That's my decision. That's what I'm gonna do. When I mess up, I always have the next day. I'm gonna pray about it. Forgive me. We're gonna go through it again. Okay.
Gosh, that's so good. And like honestly, like I admire that so much, but it's so interesting. I think we talked about this when we got coffee, but something that God I feel like has been doing in my heart recently too is kind of this faith over feelings thing.
Absolutely.
Where it's like I can't walk by how I feel because how I feel isn't always what's real or what's reality, and instead like God's calling me to walk by faith and to declare that and to believe that and to live that. And obviously like I didn't go through what you went through, so I can't imagine at the same time like I can't even imagine how hard that would have been to like choose to believe that there's hope, and there is in Christ. Like He works out all things for our good and His glory. And and I think like to be able to like live that despite your circumstances is incredible. And so where are you now? Like obviously you said you're still playing basketball. Yeah. So obviously that's really, really good. Yeah. And just like how's like your health now? How are you feeling now? Like talk about like a little bit about that.
I feel good. I feel really good. I feel a lot better now than I did yesterday and the day before. Just every day I feel like it's getting better. And of course you have bad days, but my bounce back and my mental is a lot better now than what it was. I'm going overseas to play. I'm working with a company called American Income Life.
I love it.
So if anybody
She's a hustler. She's a go-getter, y'all.
I love it. I love everything about that company. It has really pushed some buttons that I needed to be pushed. It's definitely a challenging company, but I like it a lot. I do like it. So hopefully I can, stick with that, take that overseas with me, have a double income, that'd be great. And then also,
I'm high about this.
Also, I am part of the broadcasting crew for the Fever. I'll be the Fever Sports Analysis. So
it's amazing. She does it all, guys.
And that is my dream. Like I remember thinking and talking with my mentors, and this is what I want to do. And I had no idea how I'm going to get there. With my health, like I didn't know what this was going to look like. God is so good.
See, like God opens, like if we're faithful, and this is what I truly believe, like if we're faithful, and again, it's not dependent on our works, none of that. But my thing, if we're seeking Him every single day, Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you." And it's not dependent on who you know. It's not dependent on what you've done. It's not dependent on who you are. It's dependent on what God has for you. And He's our way maker.
You better preach. I don't even know who you are.
No, but I'm serious. Like I look at you and I'm like, that's crazy. But like all of these things, like despite everything that's happened, and there's been more. She like we've all been through it, but also like it's been her story is obviously a lot bigger than just that health issue. Like so that's a part of your story, but it's a part of what has made you who you are.
It is.
But gosh, like I see everything that God's done in your life in all parts of your story. And I just think it's incredible. Like when you told me about the fever opportunity and how that's been a dream, and just to see like how God has like worked all those things out, and it's just like so obvious that His hand has just been upon your life, and that's so crazy. Oh, another thing that I was like curious, and I know there's like a lot of athletes that do watch, or just like whether in high school, college, whatever. Talk about how hard it is playing basketball and not finding your identity in it. And then how did you navigate that? And like, how do you play free when there's pressure to perform?
And so my 4 years of college, loved it, learned a lot, have nothing but good things to say. It was hard, you know, it was challenging, just like any other school that I probably would have chosen to go to. But after, when that time between my graduation and the draft and everything, to Finland was just a time of uncertainty and chaos, and I had no idea who I was, and now I'm home, I'm not working, I'm just working out. I felt like, okay, if I didn't get drafted, then maybe I can get invited to a camp. Okay, if I didn't get invited to a camp, maybe somebody will pick me up early for the overseas, and that didn't happen. Like, I was losing my mind that summer just because I had no idea. I was like, am I done with basketball?
Yeah.
And it just so happened.
And you've known it your whole life. Like, you've been a basketball player your whole life.
Like when somebody is saying, okay, you know, you got to that point and you didn't make the WNBA. Okay, that's fine. You didn't make overseas. Okay, but now what? You know, like, it's so, I'm not going to say the only way, but I always commend Portia Green. Portia Green is...
I love Portia.
Hands down, she is the one. So she played in Finland. And so one of her old teammates actually reached out to Portia, and Portia referred her old teammate to me, like me.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for that moment right there, I would not be here today, because let me tell you, so she told me about it. The girl contacted me overseas. Her name is Taru. Love her to death. Even though we have like our back and forth, she's family. So she contacted me on a Tuesday. I had to leave on a Thursday, and then by Saturday I was playing my first game. I was so late to get over there to even start my overseas career. Like, it was, oh God.
Overwhelming?
It was a time, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I have no, I had a plan A, B, C, and D, and they all fell. They all fell. And I was like, now what? You know what I mean? Like, it was time. It was October, and I was going overseas for my first year. Nobody knew who I was. I had to clearly start my foundation all over again. So I got to recreate myself. So, okay, now I went from almost not playing, you know, and I know what that feels like. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bust my butt to get to where I need to go. Like what am I going to do? Do I need to do extra? That's kind of, when you get close to the edge, and all somebody needs to do is like blow on you. Yeah. You gonna work hard, okay? You gonna work, because it was so bad. It was so bad. Yeah. So last year I went overseas late, but I had a completely different mindset about it. I was like, you know what? God's got me. I'm fine. You know, of course I want to go play, but if it's not the right time, if it's not His time, I'm not going. January of this year. So, you know, season started in September of 2019. I didn't go into January of 2020. But during that time, I was able to have a different mindset because of what I went through.
That's what I was about to say. Like, do you feel like your mindset in regards to basketball and being an athlete changed after your health? Like, after you were diagnosed and after your surgery?
Yeah, absolutely. Cancer is expensive. So, you know, you always have those fees. But, you know, I'm a cancer survivor. So what else is there? Is there something I can't do? Probably not. Probably not. If I
love that mentality.
If I put my mind to it, you know, I have to. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody wants to answer, but since I'm here, I'm gonna have to, whatever is next, like coming towards me next, I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna push through it.
Yeah, because it's like you're probably thinking, I'm not even supposed to be here,
right?
So everything's like a gift.
Yep. Everything.
I think like once you, and sometimes like we need that. I think like my hip, obviously it's not anywhere near that extent. So I had like my hip surgery this past January, and that's definitely changed the way I know I see basketball, because now it's just like, like I don't want to kill myself anymore. Like obviously like I was obsessive, and I think there's a line where it's like you can be efficient and effective, but not like kill yourself, because that's not, then you can't recover, then you can't be your best.
It'll keep on prolonging.
And I think, so that's what I used to do to try to prove my worth, and to prove like who I was as a basketball player, but it ended up hurting me. And now I'm like, okay, so I did all this to myself. Like, I don't want to go through that again. Like, that's dumb. I mean, that was like, this has been a long recovery. And I'm like, I just want to play. I want to be healthy. And then it's like, it's completely like changed my mindset around basketball. So I'm like, dude, like, at the end of the day, I don't even have to play basketball if I don't want.
No.
Like,
so
it's
much
not,
more to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a great basketball player.
Thank
but
you.
you are so much more than just the basketball player.
Yes, and I think for the first time, like, I'm really starting to realize that. And it's taken me this long.
Right.
But I think I needed something like my hip to kind of, like, help me to, okay, like, take a step back.
Right.
Put things in perspective. And, like, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to play again after my hip.
Right.
Just because, like, I didn't know if my body was going to be the same way. They're like, maybe you could play, but you're kind of going to be trash because you're not going to be able to, like, move really or, like, do what you used to do. And so I was, like, really thinking, I was, like, really thinking this through. I'm like, do I want to put my body through all that again if it's not worth it, or if, like, I'm not going to enjoy it or I'm going to be in pain? Like, I was really thinking about all this, and I had to really think about who I was outside of basketball.
Wow. And that identity.
Yeah, and so when you were describing how in 2020, when you're going to play, and you're just kind of like, I'm taking it as it comes. Like, I'm, like, God's got me. Like, He's got me this far. If I can get through cancer, like, and what I went through, then nobody can say anything. Like, God's already shown His strength. Yeah.
The fact that I'm still here.
It's amazing.
You know, it's day in and day out. Shows it over and over again, His love for me. So, it's amazing.
It is.
I'm not deserving of it. I'm not deserving of it.
Me either.
You know, there's just been so many times where I've messed up, or, you know, I know X, Y, and Z was wrong and did it anyway. Or, you know, it's just so...
His grace.
It's
so good.
Unconditional.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
That's like the true definition of unconditional.
And I also was thinking when you were saying that how we can't measure our strength today up against tomorrow.
Yep.
Because tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Nope.
And also, I remember, I was thinking about this the other day, and if I ever start to get, like, if right now I'm feeling like, okay, my body kind of hurts today, what's it going to be like in a month when we're doing this? Or, that was an example. I feel like God just kind of snapped me back, and He was like, haven't I always provided for you when you needed it? Like, the day that you needed it, like, not in all this stuff in advance. Like, I give you the provision, the strength, like, everything you need that day, not like ahead of time. So He was like, if you wake up that morning, like, and you need my strength, then I'm gonna be there. If you come to me and let me fill you first. And so I just, like, when you were saying that, it just reminded me of that, about how it's almost like a day by day thing, and just like being so reliant on Him every single day to, like, fuel ourselves and fill ourselves with the Spirit, because you can't pour out of an empty cup. So it's very.
So do you feel like for that process for you and where you are now and the struggles that you might still have, do you feel like you wouldn't be where you are
that's good.
if you didn't go through what you went through?
No.
Like, not even.
No. And I remember, like, me and my mom, I also had an eating disorder and my hip, and then I struggled with depression and anxiety and like all this stuff. But I remember my mom looking back, we were talking one time, and she was like, I wish I would have said something, like, you're getting too thin, like, I wish that I could go back and change it, or, like, we were talking about going back and changing it, and I'm like, I don't even think I would want to go back and change it, because I'm so much different now. I was like, I don't know who I would have been if I hadn't have been humbled. I felt like, you know, sometimes I feel like God was like, okay, you need to take a seat.
Hello.
Stop trying to be your own God, and be humbled. And I think if I wouldn't have been humbled, my life would still be about me. And so, therefore, I don't think I would have had the perspective I do now. Or, honestly, the joy and the confidence. Because you think by making your life about you and doing the things that you want to do, even if you, like you said, you know they're not right. I think that takes from you. I think that you lose confidence, you lose joy, you lose peace.
You know that live your best life? You better live your best life with God, being that you love, because you can, you absolutely can, but you can still have $100 million in the bank account or whatever the case may be, but you can be very unhappy. So if you ain't letting God lead the way, it's not going to. It could still lead down a path of just brokenness and unhappiness.
Yeah, and I can totally like attest that too, because I know I used to think that, okay, like once I got a certain amount of followers, once I like got the success I wanted to on the basketball court, once I looked the way I thought I wanted to look.
The value.
Yes. And I thought I would be confident. Like I was like, that's when I'm gonna make it. Like, okay, like God's cool and everything in my mind, but I was like, that's not really gonna give me what I want.
Right.
Was my mentality,
Right.
and that's wrong.
Right.
But just like, I think I had to learn too that those things won't bring me satisfaction,
Right.
and that I think right now I'm the most confident I've ever been. But I also think that's because of God.
Right.
I think that now that I've really been trying to grow, do I do it perfectly? No. Is it hard? Yes. Like every day. Like every day is a struggle. Every day, like it's trying to do the right thing. Like not that it's based on work. 'Cause I don't mean that, but like just trying to do the right thing, just trying to do what I know I need to do, despite how I feel, kind of what we were talking about before, and just reminding myself of those truths, and that's made me so much more of a confident person, and therefore a more confident player, and therefore like everything else I do just kind of flows from that place of having my identity in God.
Yep.
And I think that if my identity isn't something that can be taken from me, you know, like I think that that's a very scary place to be in, because it's very like uncertain, it's very shakeable, it's very. And I just like, I've tried to put my identity in so many other things, and they failed me.
Wow.
So even people, I put my identity in people. I put my like trust in people. Not that that's wrong, but like too much trust in people, and then they fail me, and then I am left like broken. So I think what you said was like so cool. But I think for me, I think that was the change.
Yeah,
For sure.
So those paths, your journey, even what you're doing now, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
Bria, I love you. But I also think this is such a good way, because I like to talk about the real.
Yeah.
And I think that when you talk about the real, like that's what really helps people.
It does.
Because people can act like they have everything together, but it's like nobody has everything together.
Ooh.
Like even when people go home, they can look as confident as they want or successful, but they still have their own like insecurities and fears and like crises when they get home.
Right.
And to act like those things don't exist,
Right.
and to act like you're above those things,
Right.
it's not realistic.
It's
and
not.
so that's why I'm so passionate, just like talking about that and talking about the truth that like sets people free.
Right.
And I think that it's God.
It is.
I think without God, like people who like say they're confident and they don't have God, I'm like, but really, are you?
Right.
Because I'm like, because that can be taken from you.
Yeah.
And like if your identity isn't in that, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
No, that's 100% true, and I mean, especially I think this is so important now too, just because of everything that's going on in the world.
Mhm.
Not only the pandemic, but the social injustices and
Yes.
things like that. That we're able to talk about this and love each other.
Yes.
And you know, I mean, we don't talk every day.
Right.
And I mean, even how we reconnected was
Yeah.
just out of the blue, but
Yeah.
it was something that was on my heart. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know God is making mistakes.
No.
What we're going through now in the world has to change.
Yes.
And it starts with talking about
A
the world
conversation.
and talking
Mhm.
about how we can improve as people
Yeah.
and be better and love God and whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. So
Yes, that's so true. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I think everything that we're talking about right now has just really brought a lot of, like, shed a lot of light on some really dark places that we haven't wanted to talk about before.
right.
Even if it's uncomfortable, I feel like uncomfortability.
Mhm.
I don't know the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that word. I think that can lead to good things.
Yeah.
I think it leads to growth.
Yep.
And I think that we shouldn't not talk about the things that are uncomfortable.
Right.
Because that's what makes us better.
That's
So I think
Yes, it
that's
does.
so important.
Yes, it does.
So speaking about uncomfortable,
Uh-oh.
no, I'm kidding. But so I know we were talking a little bit before, and you were just talking about how you made the decision as of recently to really just like protect your purity and walk in purity.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me like a little bit about that. Like what changed? Like what changes have you noticed? And how has that been really beneficial and like really good for you, just discovering more of who you are and like who God is and just like all that kind of stuff?
Well, it started off as just, a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
It was going to be either alcohol or sex.
Yeah.
Silent with sex. I can't even say that it's been hard. When you put your mind to something, you're just going to do it.
Yeah.
You're just going to do it. So I've just been able to just completely step back and just reflect on, myself and how I feel now and what I'm
Yes.
doing. And it has not been, I'm not going to say the easiest, but overall, it's been a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. There's been so many different opportunities that have come about.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That it just makes it, that much easier to just kind of walk in day by day. But, you just kind of block off all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, do as much good as you can and call it a day. God, it's been a breath of fresh air. You know, you just have other things to worry about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then something, you know, when you put your foundation in it, that stuff is going to come out if it's not done properly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To where if you have a clear mind, or, you know, you do X, Y, and Z, you focus on, you know, every time you might have a temptation, do something else.
Yes.
Since I put so much focus off that and onto this, which mine has been reading. I do a lot more reading.
Good.
I went from, you know, 30 pages a day, you know, to now I'm able just to read fluent because now it's just a habit.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
What are some good books that you've been reading?
The Energy Bus was probably one of my favorites. Did you read that?
I actually heard of it. I've heard so many good things about it.
I finished that today. I mean, it was just, I mean, I can read that once a month and be fine.
Yeah.
I like the Michelle Obama book, for sure. The Gabrielle Union's, and it's blowing my mind right now. Oh, We're Gonna Need More Wine.
Okay, yeah.
We're Gonna Need More Wine. I really like that just to hear her story.
Yes.
She was somebody that couldn't have kids as well. So I really connected with that and just kind of the struggles that she had dealing with men and just kind of ins and out, and listening to her about that. So it's been good.
That's so good.
Definitely getting some books. Yes. Now that I'm into like sales and things, I'm reading like the psychology of sales.
Yes.
So just
it's so important how we like train our mind too.
You do. We do.
Yes. You're talking about a book that you said there was a lady who went through something similar to you. Like she couldn't have kids, and it just reminds me of the fact that like, okay, so God provides, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel like if you have the desire to be married, I feel like God put that desire on your heart. I feel like it's His will.
Yes.
Like, I mean, He created marriage, He created sex, all those things. Like, that was His design, that was His plan. I think there are some people who don't really, like, desire to be married, and I feel like maybe that's, like, God ordained.
Right.
I think that some people maybe are called to be single, and I feel like I'm a strong believer that if God has put marriage on your heart, and that is something that He has planned for you in His time, like, as you're ready, all those things. And it's so cool because you were just talking about how, you know, with your health scare, with the hysterectomy, with these things going on, how that could potentially, like, you at the beginning, you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, like, you know, what is a guy going to think in the future? Like, what is this? And I remember thinking, when you're telling me this, how that's literally like a lie from the pit of hell. Like Satan trying to hold you back from like being all who God has called you to. Because like I said, God provides. And my thing is there are some guys who don't even want kids. And that's just the reality. But it's like Bria, like I look at Bria and I think this is like so cool, like women empowering women. Like when I see Bria, like the truth I want to speak into you is like you have so much to offer. Not just a man, like everybody. Like for a man, like there is going to be a man I know that comes, that like, so many men who'd be so lucky to have you, and it's just like so cool because like the enemy will try to tell us lies, like the enemy will try to keep us back, and then whether that's like you, maybe you're watching and you just have like maybe you just don't think you're beautiful, or maybe you're like you feel like you're overweight and you're just like I can never like no man will ever like me, lie from the pit of hell, like whatever your lie is. That's like holding you back or keeping you like in this hopeless place or like stealing your joy or stealing your confidence and just knowing that like no, like I am beautiful, like I am chosen, like God has a plan for me, like and I'm gonna walk in that confidence, like I'm gonna choose to believe the best, and I'm gonna choose to believe those truths, and I'm gonna walk in them because God is a way maker, God is a provider. Like right now God's working behind the scenes. Like he has his hand. Like he literally knows everybody in the world. Like he is your ultimate networker.
He is literally
right. Ultimate networker. And like I have to like, and I with guys too. Like I've never been in like a serious relationship, and I always like wonder, I'm like, is it ever really gonna happen? Like because I can't see anything right now. And sometimes for me, like it's like discouraging. This is what I'm looking for. Of course I want him to like be strong in his faith, like all those things, but I'm like, is it gonna happen, God? Like when is it gonna happen? Like your girl's waiting, like it's hard to be pure, all these things. Then the lie is quickly to believe is like it's not gonna happen. Instead of thinking like, no, like God is my way maker, God is working, God is moving, like and just to be able to hold on to that truth and not obsess over it, but just like trust it. and just like declare like, yeah, God, I already know you got this.
Absolutely.
I already know you're working on my behalf. Like I already know, like, and so I'm gonna walk in that. I'm gonna walk in that purpose. I'm gonna walk in my calling. I'm gonna walk in that confidence, knowing that like I am the prize. Girls having that mentality, making him pursue you, making him like come after you and be intentional. And just knowing like who you are. And I think as women it's sometimes hard. But I also feel like having good women around you to really speak truth into you. Like, nah girl, like you settling for him, or like, nah girl, like you're believing lies, or like, I think that's like so cool. Like having women in your life who are really going to support you. Like it's a beautiful thing.
And everything you just said was spot on. I mean, it was spot on. It was, like you said, we put that in our heads, and
it holds us back.
It does, for everything, with everything. And I mean, if we were to get those thoughts out of your mind, who knows what you can do? You could probably teach this out.
Period.
You know what I mean? So it's good.
Y'all, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm saying we gotta hold our worth a lot higher than some of y'all. We've all been through it, okay? But like what I'm saying is like it ends today. We can start believing that we're like it, okay?
Right, that's it. And it just starts at a point where you make that decision and you just kind of feed on it.
Oh yeah. The more you like act like it, the more you start to believe it, and then it just becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot easier to believe.
It does.
But I think it starts with like a small mustard seed faith, and then like just declaring that. And I think like I see that in you a ton too. Just like obviously the faith over feelings, like choosing to believe. Even when you don't see, and obviously you've had a lot that you could have been really upset about. Like you have a lot, like you said, you could have turned to like drugs, you could have turned to guys, you could have turned to alcohol, you could have like given up on basketball games. Instead you're like, no, like I have my God on my side. You might not have felt it. You might have still been discouraged, but you're gonna choose to believe like, no, I got the God. Like I got God on my side, so like I'm gonna do these things even if like I don't see the outcome. And that's like, wow. Like that is so amazing.
That's where it starts.
Oh, I love it.
And it's still ugly in the start. There's some ugly days.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who can be against me when God is for me? like if you don't believe in that, I mean, it's just a day by day, you know, that decision making. Looking in the mirror, just, you know, I am beautiful. You know, I am worthy. You know, I am special. And whatever God's plan for me is, then that's what it is. Yeah. You know, I might want to live that now while I'm still alive and try to touch as many women as I can, as many people. Because you know what, too? Guys are worthy. Oh, yeah. Men are precious. Men are valued. You know, I feel like, especially in our society, I think women, we are absolutely amazing. So are the good men. That's true. You know what I mean?
I think like that's so cool that you mentioned that, because God definitely, he created men and women in his likeness, in his image, to play two different roles. Yeah. And it's like both role is so important. Like the women can't play the men role, and then the men's role, and the men can't play the woman's role. And like both of them are very significant and very important. And I think like you said, it is very important to empower men as well, because I think men do, like, I think that men need that. I think as women, like, if you're like in a relationship with a guy, like, it's important to like build him up, empower him, and make him reach his full potential, because that's what's gonna make the world a better place. It is.
And we'll keep feeding each other, like you say, you can't pour from an empty cup. But if your cup is full, you know, if your cup is full, and you just so happen to meet, you know, the man that you're supposed to be with, and you guys just start pouring into each other. Yeah. It's a big thing.
Oh yeah, you don't even know what's gonna happen, like you said.
Right. Now, I'm still waiting for that man to pour into me. Hello, but
where he at?
Yes. It's okay. We still gonna pray about it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not tripping. Like really.
And that's nothing. But to that too. Just that worry, just being worried, that fearfulness that I've had, and it's a lot better now. I still have, you know, some anxiety and some worry, just because I want to do well. You know, I just have that, you know, I want to do really, really good at whatever I'm doing. So if it's that AIL, you know, that company, I want to do well. So what do I got to do? I got to make sure I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And by that, you know, I got to plan, and I got to pray, and I want to be good at that. Bam. It's with the fever. Analyst, okay? Bam, I want to do that. I want to do well. I'm nervous. I'm worried. But you pray about it. You'll get over it. You'll learn, whatever. It's okay to be worried and have the butterflies and things like that. But at the end of the day, I have to still remember, I'm going to be fine. You know, I want to be fine. Yeah. However it turns out, I'll be fine. Yeah. We'll make a way. I didn't even know I was supposed to be here. I'll be fine. When it comes to basketball, I might as well have the absolute most fun I possibly can because that's not gonna last forever. You know, I'm not gonna say I'm coming down to my end years, but I'm about to be 28 in a couple months. You know, I don't got that much time. But I can't worry about, you know, X, Y, and Z. You put your focus on what you're supposed to be on, which is God. For me, I'm fine.
It's like taking that, like, shaping your mind to like think that, but also like reminding yourself constantly of what you've gone through, what you've overcome, and just thinking, man, I've had everything stripped away from me. I've been at like my rock bottom, and I'm here now. Like we here.
Ooh, that rock bottom. Yes.
But it's like to be able to like even like out of all that, like look where I am now. And it's like I was hopeless. I did not think there was gonna be anything. Like I didn't know I was gonna be alive. Like the reality of it. And for you to be like, and look at me now. Like I'm doing these 3 things. Like very important to me. But then it's constantly like look at what God brought me through. Like if I you said, if I've gotten through this, I can get through anything.
And look what He's gotten me through. So when I worry, you had to look what He's got me through. Okay, I'm worried about this. Nah, He's already taken care of me before. Why wouldn't He do it again?
That's
you know?
so good.
Why am I so focused on, okay, right now I'm nervous, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z. He's done this. He's been here. Why would I worry when He's taking care of me day in and day out? How is that still processing through my mind?
But we do. We fall worry sometimes, and it's like we have to constantly. It's like a daily like. When they say, when I think it was Paul that said like dying to yourself every single day, it's a real thing.
It is. So, you know, progressing. Not so perfect, progressing.
Oh, actually, oh my gosh, it's crazy you say that because like, my motto as of like the past month is like progress over perfection.
Wow.
Because I used to beat myself up over every single mistake I made. Like, if I was feeling anxious and I let my anxiety get the best of me or whatever it is, like, I would beat myself up for it instead of just being like, you know what? It's okay to have a bad day. And I think for me and you both, like, even when it comes to basketball, like, just people have looked up to us or, like, expect us to be a person who always has the energy, always has the positivity. And I would always beat myself up if I had like a bad day. Like I just wasn't feeling it that day. I just like wanted to be like I was like I don't feel like good, and I'd beat myself up about it. Instead of like okay, like it's fine to have a bad day. Like it's okay to like be weak sometimes, and that's such a hard concept sometimes for me to just realize
to fall into. It is. They always say you gotta be strong. You gotta, so just because we're strong doesn't mean we can't have weak days, bad days, you know, ugly days, you know, whatever the case.
Because we do. For sure.
Definitely do.
Yeah, like for sure.
Definitely do. So
yeah, it's every day is like a fight. Like really, just choosing to walk by not how. At least that's how I feel. Like every day is literally just trying to choose to not walk by how I feel, but what I know to be true. Yeah. And I think that is the more I remind myself of like what's true, the easier I guess it is to walk by what's true. Yeah. Because it's like so easy to be deceived.
Yep. And we did that. Okay.
Love that. We talked about basketball identity. We talked about guys. We talked about like everything that you went through with health and wow.
It's okay to not be okay.
All right, guys. So again, this is Bria. I'm so hyped to be on my channel. Yeah, this was really good. So if y'all want to find her, I will include her Instagram here. So y'all can hit her up on Instagram. Yeah, so if you have any questions or if you've really like related with her story, feel free to reach out to her. Yeah. I'm sure she would love to hear from y'all. Yeah. But thank you so much just for being so open and being on my channel today. And
it was amazing.
Gosh, it was amazing.
It was great.
That was really good. So you. I was so hyped. I was really, Bria, so hyped to have you on my channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Girl, we could have been through this. We could have been on episode 4, 5, and 6 with this.
Period.
Or part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah, I mean, we could have like went to death about every single thing.
1, if anybody needs life insurance, please contact me. 2, Fever. Okay, you can go to watch every single game for free. FeverBasketball.com. I'm gonna be on there.
They won yesterday.
Okay, right. We needed that win too.
Girl,
that was good. That was good stuff.
We did need that win.
That was good stuff. So hopefully we can bring another win tomorrow, and that's when I'll start. So, all right, guys.
It was so good having you. I will see you all next Thursday.
Bye.